let me clear up some issues which affects all of us. As an engineer, I design control systems. All fundamental eyes are that way. They control themselves to the average of accommodation. Highly sophisticated, all do this. But the problem is length. When we impose a length on something that doesn't have a length, we're telling a false story with due respect. But even I am forced to use a length to show the eye changing its power in both directions when the accommodation signal is changed. This is a young eye with a refractive state of about +2. But to impose a length on that, which they don't measure, they use a retinoscope, which only measures power or relative power, can't measure length. So you infer or imply a length, which is false. The eye doesn't change its length. It changes its refractive power. Now, as it turns out that as a control system, the eye offsets the accommodation signal by 2 diopters, which explains why primates living outdoors never enter negative refractive state, because the eye is controlling its refractive state to its average of accommodation and then offsets it by 2 diopters. So it never will enter negative refractive state, if you understood it that way. So until you understand the issue, scientific discussions of objective facts on both sides will be impossible, because you're always going to say length. The eye changes its length. It doesn't, it can't, it changes its power. So for you electrical engineers designing control systems, will understand the concept, I think. That's up to you. Even I agree that getting a child to get his nose off the page and that sort of thing is a parent's duty goal that must be done before the child's refractive state becomes negative, measured with a retinoscope. So I regret this situation. I certainly regret my own habits as a child. Habits that are maybe not impossible to change, but it's going to take a good mind, a good electrical engineer to help his own children with prevention, or 2 parents, Retna and husband, Rupa and Jeff, keeping their kid's nose at least 15 inches from the page, preferably 20 inches. That will work, because their eyes are dynamic systems. And by reducing accommodation as much as possible, the child's refractive state will be measured positive, and the child will keep his 20/20. But notice, I don't say cure. Matter of fact, I think that only prevention is possible, as being conducted Jeff and Rupa Wong. And they're not advertising it, they're not selling it, they're not telling you to do it. They lead by example, they help their own children, and this is during the school years. That's how we got into this situation, completely. Now, I know the public does not want prevention when they have 20/20 and their refractive state is exactly 0. But I knew a year later, they'll be down by half diopter a year, per year, each year. So that fixing it with a minus lens, well, it's a control system. You expect it to go down like that because it's controlling its refractive state to its average accommodation signal. So I hope this clears this up, and why I don't use the word length, but describe the completely normal eye and explain it to you on a reasonable level. I have to show the eye changing its length when it's not doing that. It's changing its power measured with a retinoscope, And so you change the accommodation level, as I showed by, let's say, 2 diopters. The completely normal eye will change its refractive state by 2 diopters eventually. It's continuously controlling its refractive power to its average of accommodation. But you want that minus lens. If there's any discussion of prevention when you're 0 diopters, you'll throw it out the window. And this is all of us. We don't want an ophthalmologist helping us with prevention if we have 20/20 and 0 diopters. That's us. I will call it the ignorance of the public, but I cannot change it. Only Jeff and Rupert Wong have the power to change their child's average of accommodation. And even they will use the old words of length and so forth. Even was a STAR, their measurement tool reports a length when it's actually measuring a refractive state. It's very important to use accurate language when describing the behavior of all fundamental eyes starting at birth and what is objectively measured, not what is spun when it's reported in a journal. And they all do it. In fact, even me drawing a eye changes its length is false. It's changing its power with average of accommodation. Until we understand that, there won't be any prevention at all. There won't even be any attempt at prevention either until a person's engineer enough to understand we're measuring a refractive power, not a length. I don't know how you'll change your mind on that one. I certainly did. So let's reorganize our brains so we're thinking about the all eyes as control systems at birth, controlling their refractive power to changes in the accommodation system. Matter of fact, when you think that way, there is no other signal available to the eye to control itself accurately. I did a study with a friend, Ron Berger, where we figured the eye is tracking or following the accommodation system with an accuracy of 1/10 diopter. That may be a little optimistic, but it's accurate. Other methods have shown the same thing. The eye changes its refractive state with changes in the average of accommodation. It doesn't change its length, it changes its power. Until we agree on that or even think about it, there could be no progress at all in terms of scientific prevention. And you ought to take responsibility for that as the only solution. So add your own commentary. If you think I'm saying something wrong about the behavior of the completely normal eye as a dynamic system, then please say so. That type of argument back and forth creates and improves science and scientific understanding. And then we get it all out on the table to understand that we have a role to prevent if we have the intelligence and motivation to do it when our refractive state is 0 or slightly negative. And then I measure myself, and that's how I prevent my refractive state from changing from plus to minus. Add your own commentary. I have good friends in medicine, but they always face the problem is they have a minus lens that works instantly, and you don't want an intellectual understanding or conversation about the possibility of prevention when your refractive state is 0. Thank you, and let's enjoy intelligent conversations about the eye as the sophisticated system it always has been and it always will be. Thank you.